NBA picks and props. We are back. New year. We survived 2020. We are here in 2021. And, basketball never stops. The picks, they never stop. We continue to keep going. I'm Dexter Henry, back with a new episode of NBA picks and props. And on this episode, got my guys with me. Two people joining me today in the new year. Want to give a happy new year to my guys, Jarod Hector and Jamal Murphy, joining me on the show here today. Guys, it's a new year. As I said, we survived 2020. We made it through. How are you guys feeling? Do you have that renewed 2021 energy?
We get
talk to me in July or something.
see, Murph, I think that response is the one that I've been giving to people, right? Which is there is no guarantee that 2021 is going to be better than 2020. I've been trying to say that to people. People are like, oh, you're being negative. No. I'm just saying that I appreciate surviving, making it here to January 1st, and Happy New Year to everybody out there. Yep. I'm just saying we never know what's in store. So I'm just grateful to be alive and healthy.
Forget July. What day is Inauguration Day? January what?
20th?
Yeah, talk to me at January 21, and I'll let you know how we're going to do this year.
That's true. And regardless, it's about to look the same for the next few months at the very least.
100%. So
good, all good points. Hope you guys rang in the new year pretty good, safe and fun. I mean, that's what I did. Had a lot of wine. I'm sure Jarod did too.
Yes,
Murph, I don't know what you were getting down with in terms of the drink, but
yeah, a little wine for sure was in the mix for sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah, like I said, that Zoom party was lit last night. So pardon me any slurred speech. All right, thank you.
You know what? I wasn't getting down on the Zoom. I was
getting lit on Zoom.
Lit on Zoom. I guess I was fully distancing, but whatever me. Now, NBA season. We are coming up, guys, on about 2 weeks into the start of this season, and this is what I like to do. This is small sample size theater, where some people are going to overreact to some things. Some people are going to maybe dismiss certain things, but there's a lot that has been going on in the season. I want to kind of talk about what have been sort of the maybe early season surprises, maybe some disappointments, maybe some things that have shocked you guys. Jarod, I'll kick it off with you first. What has really caught your eye or attention early on in this season?
Well, it's funny what you just said, because I'm with you on the whole small sample size theater bit, right? It's been 5 games for most teams. Like, unlike the NFL, where it's 5 games is over a quarter of your season, 5 games doesn't really tell me a whole lot in the NBA. Now, when we get to that 20-game mark, that's when you can start making some all right, in 20 games, some habits and who you are sort of expose themselves, right? But I will say there hasn't been anything too surprising. The Wizards not being winless right now is a little surprising because they have Russ and Beal, and they seem fine offensively. There's something going on with the way they use their rotations right now. I'm just not sure why. Bertans isn't playing more, so they got some issues to work out there. I'm also looking at Denver. I remember I said in that first episode, bang the under with Denver, and I was like, yeah, they're starting out like I predicted, just a little slow defensively. They've been a nightmare. And then the other thing I'm looking at too, and I know this is something you're going to bring up, Dexter, is Luka Doncic and his poor shooting. Again, small sample size theater. I don't want to get crazy. And finally, the Toronto Raptors. Pascal Siakam talked about struggling last year in the bubble. He's still struggling shooting the ball, and he actually left the court the other night after fouling out, went straight to the locker room. He actually got benched for the following game against the Knicks for, sort of conduct detrimental to the team. So those are things that I'm not like nervous about, but I'm just keeping my eye on those things.
Yeah. So we had 2 of the same points, Jarod. One, the Wizards being winless, that is shocking. While Russ is averaging a triple-double. Now, he's also been sitting out back-to-back games. We'll sit out tonight's game as well, too. But they can't stop anybody. They are so bad defensively. They are bad. They're giving up 122.2 points per game. And you talked about their offense, Jarod. They're good at that in that factor, 115 points per game scoring. But it's still funky, like you said, with the rotation. So that's a team to keep an eye on, because I think a lot of people had them in that near 500 range, possibly getting into the play-in game. This is a team to definitely keep your eye on in terms of if you're betting the games. Look, I think they're a great team to bet on in terms of over, under, and total points when they're playing somebody, especially another bad defensive team, right, guys? But That's a team that has me shocked. I'll get to Luka later, but I want to ask Jamal, what are some of your early season surprises so far with the NBA?
Well, I'll focus on the teams. We had done a bunch of over-unders to start the season a couple weeks ago. And, so I'm looking at some teams, and Atlanta, to me, I think I'm starting to feel much more confident in that over that I picked at the beginning. They look good. They look good offensively. Trae Young has been better than I thought in terms of getting everybody else involved. There are plenty of offensive weapons on that team now. Cam Reddish looks much improved. DeAndre Hunter looks much improved. Of course, they added Gallinari, Bogdanovich. So they have a bunch. They have a lot of offensive weapons, and Trae is actually using them. So I think that's a great sign for Atlanta. They got to pick up their defense if that's possible. But even without their defense, I think they can battle for that playoff spot. And another team, the Knicks too. I like the over there.
Yep.
Tibbs has shown that the Knicks are going to come out every night and play hard. Randall looks really good. R.J. Barrett has looked pretty good so far. And then the last one is Phoenix, who I don't think we talked about the over-under, but they look really good. Booker meshing very well with Chris Paul. Booker showing that he's already shown it in the past, but really this year showing that he's a complete player, not just about buckets. He finds the open man, plays D, really, and is a leader also. So those three teams, I think, looking really good on the over.
I did not think anybody was going to talk about my New York Knicks. No, but Jamal, you make a great point. They have looked solid. I think you and I, we both had them. We were taking the over in that, and they have been solid defensively. Now they can't shoot a lick, and the shooting is really streaky. But it is that defensive intensity I'm seeing with them that keeps them in games. And I think they're another team. Keep your eye on them if you're going to against them or with them. Because they are going to muck a lot of games up. They are going to be in there. They look like a team that you might not want to play. Not in terms of that they can beat you, they can make things difficult. So I think they're a team to keep their eye on. Now, Jarod, you brought up Luka Doncic. And the reason we wanted to talk about him specifically is because of he was the favorite to win MVP. He was the odds-on favorite to win MVP. We talked about this in our very first episode. And he's had some really tough shooting struggles. Now, small sample size theater, as we said, it is only 4 games that the Mavericks have played. Most teams have played about 4 to 5 games. Some teams playing their 6th game tonight. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Luka shooting 2 for 21 from downtown. That's 9.5%. He hasn't looked great at all. Before we started the show, Murph brought up the fact that he's looked a little bit out of shape. And I've seen that too. So I'll ask both of you guys, is there any concern when you look at the odds that we saw for MVP? When we saw that he was an odds-on favorite, we think that he would have a lot to do in terms of usage rate with this Mavericks team before Porzingis comes back. Do you have any concerns if you were somebody who put money down early on Luka for MVP? Should you be concerned at this point, or is it way too early?
No, I think it's too early. Again, it's 4 games. They're playing their 5th game tonight against the Miami Heat, which we'll get to in a minute about that game. But no, I just think that we talked about it. Look, he's not in shape, right? Let's just call it what it is. He's going to play his way into shape eventually, but he's not in shape right now, and you're seeing that as with some of the other players. I'm not too concerned. I do think it's interesting, sort of as a larger context, the whole way we look at Luka Doncic, and he's always going to be connected to Trae Young, right? Because of that draft day trade. And I said it, and everybody else said it. Oh my God, the Hawks, how dumb are you? And look, we knew because Luka was a pro already, he was sort of going to be a higher floor guy, right? Just because he already played pro basketball. But his ceiling, right, may not be as high as everybody in that draft because how much better he's already a pro, can he get, right? His shooting does need to improve. And I think because threes are a high variance thing, that will get better over time, right? So he's shooting 9.5% right now. He'll have a week where he shoots 68% from 3, right? And then everything will eventually balance itself back out at the end of the year, and he'll be somewhere in the mid-30s, I imagine.
I have to ask you, though, Jarod, because one of your guys, well, I should say your guy, Kevin Durant, has started off the season really well. And he was sort of, I believe you had said in the first episode, one of your dark horse guys you could look at for MVP. With his early start, do you like that trend for maybe more people to start putting some more money on Kevin Durant? Or is this somebody else that people should be looking at seriously?
So I think for Kevin Durant, right, as I said then, that was a nice value. And in many ways, he's still kind of a long shot, right? Because ultimately, we still have to know how Brooklyn's going to manage him throughout this season, right? As of right now, he's not playing back-to-backs. And then, they're going to probably be on a minutes restriction. Head coach Steve Nash has said this multiple times. Look, we don't want to rush Kevin back and put on 40 minutes on him, right? Like too early in the season, because Brooklyn's goal is playing in July, right, for an NBA championship. And Kevin will tell you he doesn't care about winning an MVP, right? That's not really high on his list. But I still think if he's able to play in the 60s of games, right, and he's leading them in scoring and they're a top 2 seed, he will get some nods for MVP, particularly because the narrative will shift to, oh, we figured out the Achilles rehab. Look, it can happen. You can come back to the league and be an MVP. For people like us who write stories, that's a tailor-made story right there.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And some places have, Kevin Durant at plus 900. So like you said, still good value. Murph, are you concerned at all about Doncic and what you've seen early this far this season?
Yeah, I'm concerned as far as him being the MVP. I think, a lot of people thought he would just pick up where he left off. He would improve if possible on last year's numbers and efficiency. And he hasn't done that yet. A lot of we already knew that Dallas wasn't going to be a team that was going to get that first seed or second seed in the West to where the record would, the overall team record would propel Doncic to the MVP. It would have to be all about monster statistics. And the early season is going to take. It looks like it's going to take him a couple of weeks at least to get himself in shape and together to really start improving on numbers that he had last year. So I think he's already put himself back a little bit as far as the MVP is concerned. So yeah, I would worry about that if I put money on him, to win the MVP this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a concern for some people, and we got some people already agreeing. Our man Eric Cheng, loyal supporter, Luka needs to hit the weight room. He will kill it even more if he got in better shape. I mean, yeah, him and James Harden. Then the body type's not looking so good right now. early this season, and it seems like the fans are definitely starting to notice. Yeah, so a lot of early season surprises. We won't belabor that too much because, as we said, this is small sample size theater. This is not going to be something that we're just going to look at and say, hey, this is exactly what it is. This, as Jarod, you said, one hot week of shooting, one team trending this way or the other way can really change over the next couple of weeks. I agree that we should probably wait till about 20 games before we really start looking at not just, trends for the season and narratives and stuff, but also just in terms of betting and picks. It definitely is applicable to that.
If Luka's looking like this 20 games in, you got stuff to worry about now. You ain't winning no MVP unless you go on a hellacious last 50 games, right? So, yeah, then I'd be like, oh, you got nothing. That money's gone.
Yeah. All right. But, we're trying to help you spend your money right here. We're trying. We'll take the credit. Just don't come after us when you lose. All right. So we're going to move on to our second segment. It is Friday night in NBA, first games of 2021. Nice slate of games tonight, as always, is the key and usual on Friday. But we have 4 games that we want to look at this Friday night. We're going to start with one, and we already had somebody talk about this in the chat on YouTube. Thank you for everybody who is watching on YouTube right now. This is a good game, and we do not have our resident Miami Heat fan, Bryan Fonseca, with us today. He has some other business to attend to, but we all know what he would have picked. He would tell you guys to pick the Heat. But we are here to be the voices of reason against that fandom. So Miami is playing Dallas. Miami will be at Dallas. The Heat are favored by 1 point in this game. The over-under is 223 points for total points in this game. Guys, do you like the Heat? Do you like Luka and the struggling Mavs? Do you like the over-under for total points in this? Jamal, what do you say for this game?
I like the Heat in this game. We just talked about Luka not being quite there yet. He's out of shape. Everybody talks about Harden, but Luka looking a little flabby out there as well. As we mentioned, don't mean to pile on, but hey, got to do it. So yeah, Dallas not looking great so far this year. Miami has looked better. They've been up and down also, but in a game like this, if I have to choose between the two teams, I would go Miami with the -1 to come away with the victory there. There's an injury question in terms of Jimmy Butler. We don't know whether he's going to play. I think he's a game time decision.
Yes.
But they've also proven that they can win without him. I think if he plays, it's a no brainer, and that line will move. So I would probably jump on that line right now and hop on Miami.
All right, there you go. Jarod, what do you say? Are you in agreement, Team Miami, on this one?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to fill in for Brian today and be Team Heat Nation and take the Heat -1. Look, I just don't like what I'm seeing from Dallas right now. Again, Luka is sort of everything for them offensively right now. Not having Kristaps Porzingis is big for Dallas, and they're looking weird defensively right now. Things just don't seem to be sort of clicking and meshing right. Even though Miami struggled early to start the season, I love that back-to-back they just had with Milwaukee, where they get blown out in the first game and they come right back the next night, play heavy minutes, and they get the W. All this doing, as Murph said, without Jimmy Butler. Butler is a game-time decision, so again, if he does play, I love it. So let's take it now at -1. And I will say let's go with the under. I think the Heat are really going to lock them up defensively. I like the under here as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like the under for this game in terms of total points. Heat defense has looked good. We saw the bounce-back victory against Milwaukee, as you mentioned, after they got blown out. Continuity also here. While the Heat have been up and down, they've got that continuity finals run last year. The Mavericks have looked all sorts of out of sorts on offense. Does anybody trust? I will say this again. I've said this on the show before. Who do you trust on that team to score for you other than Luka Doncic? And Luka's struggling, so I don't trust anybody.
Tim Hardaway Jr.? No.
Come on, guys. And Murph, you know how I feel about Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. is streaky.
Right.
He's somebody you don't want to get too caught in any kind of sample size throughout the season because he can have a hot streak and go on. But there's just nobody I can trust on that team right now. Now it looks like the help is coming with Porzingis, and that'll affect how we talk about the Mavs as we go throughout the season in terms of betting. Porzingis has started to work out. I believe he still has not done 5-on-5 stuff. That will come. He's expected back sometime later this month. Luka probably can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, you need help.
Yeah, he needs help. And with that being said, with the team struggling offensively, with the Heat just having that continuity in defense, I would definitely take the Heat in this. I'm with Murph. Whether Butler plays or not, if Butler plays, I think it's a great time to get in on that action early. I would also take the under as well in terms of total points because I just think the Mavericks can't score and the Heat are just way too good defensively. So I'm taking the under and I'm taking the Heat -1 in this first matchup. All right, next matchup of the night. Now this is going to be completely different. I don't know if there'll be any defense in this game at all. And these two teams played each other on a Wednesday night, and it was a extremely high-scoring affair. This is why the over/under total points line is at 244.5. This is the Atlanta Hawks versus the Brooklyn Nets. Atlanta and Brooklyn. This is the second game in a row. They will play each other, as we'll see a lot of these baseball-style series throughout the NBA schedule this year. Atlanta versus Brooklyn. We know Trae Young is Murph's guy. We know KD is Rod's guy. We know this. So this is a very intriguing matchup for both of you guys. And both teams early on have shown to be very prolific offensively, but not playing that much defense at all whatsoever. I'm going to start with you, Jarod, Team KD. Do you like the Nets in this one? And what do you think about that line of 244.5 for total points?
Well, it's so interesting there, right? And look, y'all know for sure, first of all, I'm going Brooklyn here for sure. -6.5. I say they take the win. I do think Brooklyn actually bounces back defensively because, yes, while neither team played any defense on Wednesday night, Brooklyn has shown the ability to play defense in some of their games this season, right? Limiting the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day, right? So they can play effective defense when they need to. And all the talk in that postgame was about defense and how they were loose on their defensive principles. And all preseason and training camp, that's the only side of the ball that Steve Nash, the coaches, and the players talked about. They didn't say a word about offense in any interview. It was like, no, we got to work on defense because they knew what we all knew. Offense is no problem for this team. Defensively, I'm a little concerned. And I think recency bias is going to have everybody going nuts and saying over here. And I don't think we see those 280 combined points or whatever we saw on Wednesday night. I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit better defense, at least on one side. So I say the under there, but I like Brooklyn to win that game.
So it's 286 total points was in that game on Wednesday night. Murph, are you team Trae Young on this one?
I'm team stay away on this one. This one, at least as far as the point spread goes, this is a tough one. Brooklyn -6. You guys mentioned it's a back-to-back situation. A lot of times in the back-to-back, the team that lost comes back stronger. They have a vendetta. They come back and they play better that second game. I think both teams played so well, at least offensively, you're probably just going to see the same thing. I agree with Jarod. If I had to pick a team for this, I would lean towards the Nets because of the possibility that they could pick up the defense and take it personal this time and not want to give up 140 points to the Atlanta Hawks. But on the other side, Atlanta is just, a formidable offensive team. They have so many weapons. Trae Young is Trae Young at this point. We know what he can give you. He has very few off nights. So he's going to get everybody involved and he's going to put up numbers. And it looks like a lot of these guys, on his team this year are going to put up numbers as well. So I would, for the over-under, like you said, 286 points the last time. We're talking about an over-under of 244 now. I say still go the over, even if Brooklyn plays a little defense. You still got 40 points to burn. So I'm gonna stay away from the line. If I had to, I'll pick the Nets, but I'm gonna go hard with the over on the over-under.
Yeah, guys. So for me, this comes down to the Nets' pride on this one, right? Jarod talks about the fact that after the game, all the talk was about defense here, and will they come out and show that defensive intensity that we saw against Boston with the Nets thus far? I think that's going to be the question for them all year. Can they play defense consistently? And I think, Murph, you bring up another great point in the fact that Atlanta's really good offensively. They are right now, small sample size theater. We're going to keep saying that, small sample size theater, guys. But right now, they're the number one rated offense in the league. But they do have a lot of guys who can put the ball in the basket, obviously led by Trae Young, who can score. This is a game I would take the Nets to win this. I just think overall on talent, and I think they will cover at -6. But I'm a little bit concerned about that over-under. Now, it might not be the 286, but I would lean more to taking that over because I do think this is high scoring, and we have to put some respect on Atlanta's name. They can flat out score, like I said. So I like the over here. I'm not super confident in it, so I might say to stay away. But if I had to, gun to the head or knife to the throat, like Brian would like to say, I would take the over here, and I would take the net.
we got our guy Eric Chang's asking about KD. He's winning points in the props, 27.5 from DraftKings. Honestly, and you guys know I'm a KD guy. With that line at 27.5, it's kind of a stay away for me because he's going to be somewhere around 27, I feel like. I know he scored 33 last game, but that seems about the number he's going to be at. That, for me, is a bit of a stay away in this game because I think it might be a situation where Brooklyn's up big and he may sit late. So 27.5, stay away.
Yeah, I think that really depends on how you think that game's going to go, right? Do you think they'll be up big late? If it's a tight game, like if it plays like the first game,
then yes, bang the over.
And this is a definitely bang the over. I think it depends on how you feel about it. If you think this game is going to be a tight, high-scoring game, then definitely I would say bang the over on that prop. With him getting to 27.5 because the ball will be in his hands a lot.
I expect that. I agree with that. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game to me either way. Whether Brooklyn, I agree with Jarod. Brooklyn could blow them out, but I still think it would be a high-scoring game. And I think, if I had to pick the over under 27.5, I'm taking the over. He just saw them. He knows how they're going to play him. Remember, KD is a guy who's probably getting better every single game. Okay, he's just getting loose right now. So every game he's going to get better, which is scary. So I have no problem with that over right there.
Yeah, and just matchup wise, I don't think any of us here believe in the Hawks defense. Who's guarding KD? Who's going to stop him? That's going to be the key. So look, KD's a matchup nightmare, and Eric says he's been cashing in. Most nights, depending on the matchup, especially if it's against a poor defensive team, Durant might be a good play in terms of a prop. If you're getting that kind of number in the high 20s against a very bad defensive team where you can see nobody stopping. Well, nobody can stop KD one-on-one, but nobody can give him really some trouble to make him struggle at the least bit. Atlanta kind of fits into that category. So this might be a good bet here. All right. Our next game of the night is you can call it America's basketball team. Got the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, they are. There's Lakers fans everywhere.
They are America's team.
The Los Angeles Lakers versus the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this just like the Nets and Hawks, they played on Wednesday night. So this is a back-to-back with a day in between of rest. So they had New Year's Eve off, but they played on Wednesday night, and the Lakers won that matchup, pulling away. This was a close contest. I watched most of this game. This was a close contest for the most part before the Lakers pulled away in the fourth quarter. The Lakers are favored 6.5 points on the road in San Antonio. The total points line is 229.5. Very interesting game here, guys. The thing with the Lakers that I've seen thus far early in the season is you've got to watch, are they resting the stars? Is Anthony Davis not playing on a back-to-back? Obviously, this is where you have a day of rest. Davis will play tonight, so you've got the stars, LeBron and Davis, playing here. That's key when you're going to bet on the Lakers going forward. Murph, do you like the Lakers or do you like the Spurs, who've had some success with small ball early in this season? Do you like the Spurs to get the upset?
I like the Lakers here. You know, as you mentioned, it's a back-to-back. The first game, I thought if the Spurs had any opportunity, I thought it would be the first game that they could sneak up on the Lakers and steal one, maybe, you know, with the different style, the younger team that the Spurs have put out there this year. But the Lakers took care of business and covered last game, so I expect them to do the same thing here and maybe look even a little better now that they've already played the Spurs and they know what to expect. The Lakers are focused. We know this. LeBron, we know he's the reason for that focus. They're going to try to take care of business and win every game, really. So especially when they get some rest and they're facing a team that they just saw a couple of days ago, I think they'll take care of business. As far as the over-under at 230, I don't really have a strong feeling either way, but, you know, maybe the under. But like I said, no strong feelings there.
Yeah, I guess a prop bet I'd like to see is, will Pop get ejected against the Lakers for the second game in a row? We saw that, and a historic note that Becky Hammon was the first woman to coach a team in his absence following Pop's ejection. So that was nice, but I would think Pop might stick around for this one. I would hope. Jarod, what do you think? Lakers, more of the same. They pulled away in this game and won pretty comfortably. Do you see them doing the same here tonight?
Man, I'm really trying to find a way to pick San Antonio here. Like, you know, they're gonna come with the upset here. You know, cover. At some point, I keep thinking to myself, all right, man, LeBron, these Lakers are gonna take their foot off the gas. Man, they just won the finals 80 days ago. Like, damn, like they're gonna kind of chill out for a little while, but they don't seem to be doing that right now for whatever reason. Yeah, they did lose a couple games. They lost to the Clippers on opening night, ring night ceremony, but that was kind of to be expected. The way they're playing right now, I'm with Murph. I don't see them really losing a game like this. The line to me, 6.5, it's still a little, you know, I'm kind of like, because I don't see like a 7, 8, 9, 10-point lead, but I just see late down the stretch, the Lakers have LeBron and AD and they execute, right? Like that's ultimately what I see happening there. Like Murph, I don't have a feeling about the over-under either way, but I do know the Lakers will pull this game out. So for me, with the line, it's a stay away, even though I do think the Lakers will win. But if I had to, gun to the head, knife to the throat, whatever violence Brian likes to throw out here, I would take the Spurs.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on this one. I'm going to take the Lakers in this.
Or Lakers.
I feel that's pretty. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant there, Jarod. I would definitely take the Lakers here with this. I think it's a pretty safe bet. This might be your safest or best bet, I would say, of the night in terms of the games that we're talking about here to take. I think this will pretty much unfold the same way, which is why I'm with you guys. I would stay away from the over-under on this. This can also go the other way, where I think the Lakers could have a very strong third quarter, and this becomes a blowout where they're up by 25 or 30. And if they have anywhere between 110 and 120 points, and I don't think it's unreasonable for us to see them hold the Spurs to under 100 points. I do not think that's unreasonable here. Then you have a situation where you could be talking about it being higher than the line or possibly even being lower. I'd stay away from that over-under in terms of total points. I just think there's way too much potential for variance in this game that I just don't like. But I am confident the Lakers will win. So I'd bang that. The Lakers minus 6.5 here. So that's our third game of the night. We got one more. One of the latter games, Phoenix versus Denver. Now, we haven't spoken a lot about Phoenix. Murph kind of noted that earlier, but he said that he likes how they are playing. They have been playing well. Chris Paul's been great. Devin Booker's been playing good. Mikal Bridges, he looks fantastic as a 3-and-D player right now. I know a lot of people have been picking him up in terms of fantasy, playing daily fantasy. Really good pickup you can get for him for some good value. This is a very interesting matchup. Jarod, you've had some concerns about the Nuggets. You said you thought they would start off slow, and they've looked very uneven, to say thus far this season, so far. This is a very interesting game because you've got the Nuggets favored by 3.5 points. The over-under line for total points is 221. Suns really seem like they have something to prove in the Western Conference and are trying to make their mark right now. I'm going to start with you, Murph. You talked about the Suns. You like what you see out of them. Do you like them pulling out this win on the road tonight?
I do like them. I mean, they're just playing so well. They're playing great defense. Monty Williams has them playing together. Another focused team early in the season. Really a complete carryover from the bubble when they were undefeated. Okay, so it looks like they've just picked up where they left off. My only concern is Denver needs this game. I think they're 1-3. They're at home. You know, they're playing a good team. They know that, so they know they have to come to play. They have playoff experience. But I just don't, at this particular point in time, I think Phoenix is playing much better than them and will get them tonight. Maybe Denver makes up for that later in the season. But right now, Denver's just not playing well enough.
Yeah, and any concerns about Phoenix playing on a back-to-back? Just played Utah last night. Any concerns about that here going into altitude at Denver?
Yeah, I mean, there are slight concerns there. I thought about that. But, you know, like beginning of the season, you know, everybody's still relatively fresh. They didn't have that hard of a time with Utah last night. So I think they'll come out strong again at Denver.
All right, there you go. All right, Jarod, your Nuggets.
My Nuggets.
Michael Porter Jr. I just throw teams onto everybody on the show. Everybody gets their teams and their players.
Can we talk about Michael Porter Jr. though, Mister?
Yes, we can.
Mr. Anti-vaxxer. Like, I think COVID's a hoax. Well, now you're gonna sit out for contact tracing because you might have COVID. Like, you see, this is what happens. He's young though. You know, he's got time to learn. I got to school him a little bit. No, look, as I said, I was concerned about Denver to start the season. Remember, I said I like the under on their win totals. Defensively is where I said they struggle. Shocking. Again, small sample size theater, but through 5 games, where are they struggling? Defensively, they can't stop anybody. So, to that end, I love the over in this game because I don't think they're going to stop anybody. I do have concern, though, that Phoenix did play Utah last night. That is concerning.
Yeah.
Right? That back-to-back. And Denver's been off for a night or two now. And I was with the Nuggets via Zoom the last couple of days on practice, and literally Malone's fired up and spirited, and they're like, look, we got to play better. We got to guard better. So I think they're going to come out with a little bit more aggression tonight. Murph mentioned it's kind of a need to. Look, in a 72-game season, you never say it's a need, but for them, it's kind of a need to, right? Because they don't want to start falling down this wayside. So I do think with that line, I do like Denver to kind of win this one tonight. They're going to give up a lot of points, but I think down the stretch, I think they'll find a way to win it. So I like Denver.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. This is kind of my the one where I'm like, away from the game in terms of everything. I don't know what to make of the fact that Suns played last night and looked good last night, executed down the stretch, and that's kind of been the key for me. We're looking at the Suns. Their execution down the stretch has been really good. A lot of that obviously has to do with Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. Definitely, you can see that difference in this team. Maybe because of that, that's why I might trust them a little bit more than Denver in this situation. But I also am worried about, now you told me, you're saying this, Jarod, you heard Malone talk about how fired up he is. And up and down with that team, if you listen in the last couple of years and how fired up he is about how they need to play better defensively. Can you get them to play better defensively consistently? That's a huge key. Now, one of their poor defensive players, Michael Porter Jr., won't be there. No shade to him there. But we know what he can do on offense, so we know they're losing a little bit of offense. And I just think gun to the head, knife to the throat, tribute to Bryan, I have to probably lean a little bit more to what I've seen in terms of execution with the Suns and thinking that Chris Paul, Monty Williams are going to challenge these guys. Hey, this is a back-to-back on the road in Denver. We need to make a statement and show where we are as a team going for here. So I'm inclined to actually take the Suns here, despite them being the underdogs in the situation. I'm inclined to lean to the Suns. It's a game I don't love. I think this could be a very close game, and this is obviously reflected by the line. I would absolutely stay away from the over-under in this because you have no idea how this game is really going to be played. Inclined to think it'll be close. Not sure. kind of leaning towards the Suns. I guess I'll pick the Suns reluctantly, but I'm not really confident in this game. However, I'm excited to watch this game.
Right.
I don't know if I'd be excited to watch it with money on the line and doing that. So I'm trying to let the people, the viewers out there know, if you're worried about your stress levels and put money, maybe this is the game you don't want to put it on tonight. That's the way I would stay. I would stay with that, and we will see. Guys, before we move on to our final segment, any other games of the night that caught your eye? You got the Wizards trying to break their winless streak tonight. Man. Anything else you think that could be that you might keep your eye on, maybe from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I love this this Portland Golden State matchup. Portland minus 3.5 at Golden State. Golden State started off so badly. Beginning of the season, they look like another lottery team. Back-to-back lottery situation. Now, last two games they played a little better. Against lesser competition. The team, they know each other a little better here. Then, of course, you have the Dame Steph dynamic in terms of, who is the best point guard in the league, who is the best shooter in the league, best scoring little man in the league, all that good stuff. So there's going to be a lot of, it's going to be a competitive game. It is. I think it's a stay away game, really. If I had, common sense says Portland should win this game, that they're the better team, that they have more talent. But Golden State coming along, a little more confidence now. But it's one to watch.
It's one to watch. Portland's also there. They can't stop anybody, so that'll be interesting.
This game that I'm going to mention now, I don't know if it's going to be a good game, but the spread's got me intrigued, is that Milwaukee-Chicago game. Milwaukee favored by 14.5, and I know the Bulls are a little bit shorthanded right now with some COVID protocol. I will say this. Milwaukee hasn't looked great to start the season. Now, the Bulls can beat all the LSU and they can blow them out by 30, right? However, the Bulls have been kind of plucky, right? Like, they've been in all their games and they can score, right? With Levine, with Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter. They're scoring, man. So that might be something to just look at there.
Yeah, I'd look at it. That line is 14.5.
A lot of points. Just saying, it's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
And the Bulls playing a little better recently.
So. They are. Listen, with their new brain trust, right? They don't have Garpax anymore. That crew's gone. They got Billy Donovan now, right? And they got Arturis as the GM. They seem to have a clue and are at least trying. So,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what a high they'll be on, because they beat the Wizards. Mm-hmm. And what high will they be on to come against the Bucks? The Bucks have shown themselves to be vulnerable. Hey, even the Knicks blew out the Bucks. So who saw that coming? I know that I didn't see it coming. That was a shock of last year in the basketball season for me. All right, before we move on to our next segment, just want to let you guys know about what we do here at the Props Network and how you can use it when shopping for different betting lines. You can use the propsnetwork.com live odds comparison tool. It's a really good way so you can shop around and look at what these different betting houses, the odds they have, the lines, everything is great, especially for the NBA, like we talk about on the show. You go to propsnetwork.com/NBA. You can see all the different spreads, payouts from the best legal sports books all in one place. We want to thank the people who've been rocking with us and watching the show, watching all the clips, everything on the Props Network. Please subscribe if you want to know more of this content. You want to know what our next episode is. Subscribe to the Props Network YouTube channel. You can get more NBA betting content from us on NBA Picks and Props, and you can just see all the other great shows and content that is on this channel. We thank you for rocking with us on this episode. All right, our final episode. I don't know where I see the new year. You start messing up words, all this stuff. I'm not going to say whether it was a little bit too much wine last night, but these things happen. Final segment of the show. We always do this. Keep it 100. All right, guys, you got $100 to spend. Got a little money for the new year. You're feeling good. 2021. You got $100 to spend on these New Year's Days games today for the NBA. You don't want to put it. You're not looking at the college football. You're just looking at the NBA. You got $100 to spend. How are you spending it tonight? Jarod, I'll start with you.
I think I'm going to go player props tonight.
Okay.
Bismack Biyombo is plus 300 to have a double-double versus the Hornets. Now, you might be asking yourself, Bismack Biyombo, why do I ever want to put money on anything to do with that dude? However, they are playing my beloved Grizzlies. I mean, they're not my beloved Grizzlies, whatever. I just like Jaren Jackson Jr. But they got no Jaren Jackson Jr. They got no John Morant. It's going to get pretty ugly for Memphis here in the next month or so until they get those guys to come back. And Biyombo is one thing he can do. He's tall, so he's going to get rebounds just by default because he's tall, right? So he'll grab a couple of those and a few putbacks, 10 and 10, plus 300. I don't know. I might spend $25 on that.
Not a bad one.
Not a bad one. I like Jaylen Brown as the game's high scorer for the Boston Celtics today, plus 250. Look, I've said this for a while. Like, first of all, y'all know how I feel about Boston. Let's keep the whole bit going. Fuck the C's. But
so angry.
So angry.
But I love Jaylen Brown. Jaylen's so good to me. And I think he's really starting to come into his own and realize, like, is the gap between me and Jason Tatum really that big? I don't think so. I think I'm pretty good too. And he's shooting that 3 ball. Like we know he defends. Like he's really figuring out his whole game here. And I like what I see out of him. Plus 250. Might toss $25 on that. That leaves me with $50 left. So I said the Milwaukee Bucks have been looking kind of meh. You know who hasn't been looking meh? Chris Middleton. Middleton has been looking solid for them. Plus 400 to be the game's leading scorer. I love that at that price point. Give me all the $50 on Chris Middleton because Giannis, you know what I think happened to him? That new Supermax deal weighed his pockets down. He ain't thinking about shit. He's thinking about money and how he gonna spend stuff. He ain't thinking about his game. But Chris Middleton's like, damn, I got to get myself together here. Chris Middleton, plus 400. I like it.
Well, see, there you go. Jarod's talking about how Giannis is thinking about how he's going to spend the money, and we're trying to let you know how you can spend your money so you can get some of that money.
Exactly.
That too. Murph, how are you spending this $100 on New Year's Day with the NBA games?
I'm gonna break it up in 4 different bets. Most of the stuff we talked about. I like we all do. I like the Lakers minus 6.5. So I put 25 on them. I think they'll take care of business against the Spurs. I like. Sorry about that. I like one that we didn't talk about. I like Boston minus 9 at Detroit, or minus 8.5 at Detroit. Detroit is just terrible. One of the most mishmash rosters I've ever seen. Reminiscent of the Knicks last year.
Yes.
Just throw it. Just oh, he's a free agent. Let's just take him. He used to be good. Let's take him. He used to be good. So I like the Heat also minus 1. Put 25 on the Heat minus 1 at Dallas. We talked about Luka not being in tip-top shape yet, and Miami just if you have to pick a team to trust, Miami's one of the teams that you would look at. And then finally that Atlanta Brooklyn over. I put 25 on that. I just think it's it's just sitting there. It just looks too juicy not to take after we just saw what happened. Jarod's right. It could be a totally different game in the second game, but I just think those two are going to go at it again offensively. So I think the over is it just looks too good right there. So take that.
Yeah, that one's tempting for me. I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to put $50 on Lakers Spurs. I think we all were on agreement on this. Like the Lakers minus 6.5 on that. I think they get that one easily. I'm going to throw $25 because I'm scared. I'm a punk on this game. we didn't talk about this game, but it makes me nervous. But I kind of want to put some money on it. And it's Wizards Timberwolves.
Oh,
and yeah. Now the Timberwolves favored by 1.5. But here's the thing: Timberwolves, they're awful defensively. No Karl Anthony Towns. Now the Wizards will not have Westbrook. There's no Westbrook in this game. But you know what I think is going to happen? I think Bradley Beal's going to be like, yo, I don't need nobody here. I'm going to do my thing. Now, we also know the Wizards can't stop anybody, but I think they're motivated. They're the last winless team. No, they're not the last winless team. Detroit's with them as well, too. Sorry. And we do not think Detroit's winning tonight. But I think the Wizards will not be one of the last 2 winless teams in the league. They are going to get a win tonight. I am taking the Wizards underdogs here. Put $25 on that, and yes, 25 because I do not feel confident about that at all. But I'm going to do it. I think they'll be motivated to get their first win, and it'll be without Westbrook, and that will be kind of interesting considering he's been averaging a triple-double in all these games. For my last $25, I'm going to do the same thing as Murph. I think that over-under total points for the Hawks and Nets is just too much for me to stay away from. I'm going to take the over on this because I'm not really confident that much defense will be played in
Guys,
the
that's how
process.
they get you. They reel you in. They leave it there so juicy. It's how they reel
No.
you in.
Me and Murph are seeing it. Me and Murph are seeing the same thing. Like, it's just looking too good. It looks too good. Like, I'm like, I gotta do it. I just have to do it. I gotta put a little bit on this and just see if it does. And you know what? When they hit that over under, I'm gonna be texting you later today. I'll be like, see, I told you it looked good. I told you.
And then when they don't, I'll be like, see, told you to stay away from that shit.
Yeah, and I'm just and you know what I'm gonna do? Not reply. That's what I'm gonna do.
And let me ask you this: are you saying that the Wizards are better without Westbrook?
I mean,
but you know what the thing is, Murph? I just want to add that controversy, right? And we all like that those narratives, and I just want to be like, that adds a little bit more to the fire, because as soon as we get that win without Westbrook, you know that's going to be the talk.
Westbrook is doing that. He's doing that triple-double stuff on purpose, right?
Of course he is.
Like he's making sure, like he's keeping a tally in his head, right?
Listen. We know that the triple-double, especially a Russell Westbrook triple-double, is the most overrated stat in all of basketball. All right, Steven Adams is blocking out people so Russ could grab rebounds. Come on, let's stop with this foolishness. I do want to talk about this Milwaukee Bucks over/under.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Right?
Yes.
So he said easy win for the Bucks. That 14. I mean, I think the Bucks will win the game. 14.5 though. Look, the Bulls have been kind of plucky. Anyway. The over-under is 233.5. I believe, or 223.5. Oh, let me get the right number.
No, it's 233.5. 233.5. Yep.
That's a lot of points, man. That's a lot.
See, my problem with that is you're asking are the Bulls going to score a lot of points? And I don't see it, man. Like, can Milwaukee get into the 130-point range?
Yeah, they could.
And do you think they can then hold the Bulls to under 100 points? That's the key about what you think. The Bulls are good enough to score off of Levine. I just don't know how good or like how deflated they would get by Milwaukee.
And they're missing people. And they're missing some people.
No marketing.
No marketing was big.
Which is huge. I would go under with that. I don't know how you feel about that, Murph, but I would go under with that totally. I'm not trusting. I know Joe West brought that up about the over/under, but I'd go under with that if I had to, but I might stay away with that game, as we talked about before.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning over with that. The Bulls put up points. I think it'll be a blowout. They give up a whole bunch of points, so I could easily see Milwaukee getting 130 or more, and then the Bulls getting 100, 110, 115, something like that. So I would take the over if I had to.
Yeah, that game really scares me. Before we sign off, just want to we have a lot of people who've come in to watch. We appreciate you guys. If you have any questions about some games we haven't touched, anything we haven't talked upon, any stuff you want to talk about, send them in now before we sign off. We'll try to answer your question before we get off. Go ahead, Jarod. You were going to say.
I was going to say, I kind of feel the same way. It's a bit of a stay away from me. I'm kind of not. I don't have a really good feel because, again, this Milwaukee team defensively should be a lot better, but Chicago isn't the Chicago we're used to seeing, right? We're like, this team sucks. They can kind of score. Yes, marketing not being there is big, but Otto Porter's been scoring for them, right? I mean, they got some dudes who can fill it up a little bit. So,
yeah,
kind of a little bit of a stay away. But if I had to, I think that over might be in play.
Ooh, okay. I'm just concerned with the guys being out there in Chicago. But you made another good point too, Jarod, earlier, which is that they're motivated. We call them plucky. They're playing hard. They're scrapping. I do not. The Bulls are not, as a team that Murph kind of just stomped on. They're not Detroit, right?
No,
they're not. Detroit. They're not a mismatch where you're just like, oh, they're going to roll over. I'd put them a little bit akin to the Knicks, where they're going to be a little bit tough for you. They're going to fight. I don't know if they're as good defensively as the Knicks, but they're going to fight and they're going to kind of make things really interesting. So we shall see what happens with that. A lot of interesting stuff in the NBA tonight. We got plenty of games. There are 10 games on the schedule tonight, starting off with a bunch of games at 7 o'clock. Memphis at Charlotte, Boston at Detroit, Miami at Dallas, Atlanta at Brooklyn, Chicago at Milwaukee, Washington at Minnesota, LA at San Antonio, Phoenix at Denver, LA at Utah, Portland at Golden State. Before we go, guys, I wanted to ask about one other trend that we've been seeing throughout the NBA that I think can affect in a lot of ways how people may look at games or how they may bet. We've seen some blowouts, and we've seen some blowouts, okay? Clippers were down by 50 at the half to the Mavs, ended up losing by 51. Who did we see get blown out the other day? Now it's escaping me. It's just dropped out of my head. Somebody got blown out really badly the other day. And it's escaping me.
I think the Mavs, didn't they get blown out?
You're right. The Mavs ended up getting blown up by the Hornets, and then we obviously also saw the Heat and the Bucks. We saw that as well too. That was a game that was in my head, guys. We saw that too.
Clippers brought Portland the other day.
Oh yeah, Clippers the other day. Clippers then come in and blow them out. When we see that, I think a lot of us who watch basketball might attribute some of that to, for some of these teams, the quick turnaround and lack of a lengthy training camp and preseason. Is it, when you look at this stuff, does this give you more pause or cause to say, hey, I'm going to take this game or stay away from this game at all?
For me, it does, because I think we're all basketball aficionados. We watch a lot of NBA, and we all talk about this, and we all know, and the casual fan hears it but may not understand it. We say regular season basketball and playoff basketball are two different things, right? I think in this season in particular, we're going to see such a wide variance in that. We're going to see a lot of teams just getting blown out, and even good teams. There's a phrase that coaches like to use where you let go of the rope, right? You're down 20 and it's like, you just pack it in because you can't do it. It's harder in normal times when the crowd's raring to go and you got a lot of, right? Your team was a little 5-0 run, you're at home. Teams are much more inclined now, I think, to sort of quote unquote drop that rope when there's no energy in the building, right? You down 20 now early, and it's like, it's real hard to get the energy and all that to muster it back up. I think we're going to see all season a lot of these wide variance things where teams just like, wow, how did Atlanta blow out the Bucks? But yeah, come playoff time, and if Atlanta got to play the Bucks 7 times, anybody think Atlanta's going to beat Milwaukee 4 times? Probably not, right? And I think we'll really start to see when teams can lock in and they know, okay, we're playing the same teams 4 times best out of 7. It'll be much different than what we see now. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a lot of difficulties for everybody looking at teams now when they're gambling, because these variances are going to continue. Not to mention with the way that everybody now shoots threes. And we always say that everyone shoots 20 a game at a minimum. You're seeing 40 threes a game like it's happenstance, which ultimately means these spreads are going to go wide. You have a hot night shooting, team is done at half. You have a poor night shooting, you're done at half. So I think we're going to see a lot of that.
I like that point about the crowd, right, Jarod? I think that's a great point, because how it influences guys to whether it shows some fight. If you're getting blown out at home and the crowd is sort of, well, New York, Philly, some places they're booing you, you might say, all right, man, maybe I could do something. Now, without that crowd being there, you're right, it is easier to, and we don't want to use the terms quit, but this happens a lot. You said, pull the rope. That was the term you said.
Drop the rope. Let go of the rope.
Let go of the rope. You can see that happening a lot more with coaches are going to feel it too. Coaching staffs are going to feel it too. The players are going to feel it too. I've been watching players' body language when the team goes in a 17-0 run. You kind of see the, Murph, this, you see the head drop, from playing basketball, and you're just kind of out of it. You feel deflated. Well, the air is literally already out of the arena because nobody's there. Yeah. And I think that makes for huge variances in how we bet. And this might be applicable to the Milwaukee-Chicago game we talked about tonight in terms of, well, what happens in that game if, it gets really bad? It becomes 20-point lead by halftime. Is there really a fight on either end? If Chicago gets down by 20, is there really a fight for them in that? So, Murph, I'll let you talk about it too. How do you think these blowouts and what you've seen thus far early in the year affects the way maybe you look at the games and the numbers and the lines, et cetera? And will this also affect the way these lines are being set too?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more unpredictability, which is always a problem with betting. There was a couple of days ago, I had put some money on 4 or 5 games, and they all went against me, and they were all shot. It was the day that the Knicks lost. That the Knicks they beat somebody by a lot. Who was it?
Milwaukee.
Yeah. They killed Milwaukee. I had Milwaukee, I think, minus 10.5. I was sure of that. It was the same day Philly got blown out by someone that they were favored to beat by 6.
Cleveland.
Right. And there was I think 1 or 2 more games where bad teams blew out good teams. So with COVID, there's contact tracing. You never know from 1 minute to the next who's going to be really available. Everything is so unpredictable now that you do have to do a double take on a lot of these games before you take them. So it's got to make you a more cautious bettor.
Yeah, it has to. Good point, Eric. The Nets lost to Charlotte that same night. Right. That was a crazy night. Murph, I'm sorry you got hurt like that.
I hurt that night.
Hurt the pocket.
I'm still trying to recover.
Well, look, that's the reason we do this show, because Murph brings up a great point in the fact that there is so much information. So you got to stay up to date on the injury list and everything that's changing now with the COVID protocols, and you need as much information as possible, which is why we would like you to continue to watch NBA picks and props. We'll try to give you the information. We'll try to give you some nuanced discussion around basketball and why you may or may not want to stay away from certain bets and what you want to take. But we'll continue to do that on a weekly basis. Guys, I want to thank you for ringing in New Year's Day with me a little bit. I'll tell you what I'm doing for the rest of the day. Watch some NBA and enjoy some more wine. I don't know about y'all. That's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. I'm off. Just watch some basketball, enjoy some wine. I hope all the people that watched. Eric, shout out to you. Thank you for coming on again. Joe West, shout out to you as well for the comments and the questions. We will have more of this coming up on the Props Network. We encourage you to please continue to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever way you can connect with us and continue to watch and support and let people know about the show as we continue to grow. So that's it for this episode. For my guys, Jarod Hector, Jamal Murphy, and Brian somewhere, who we know for sure is betting on the Miami Heat tonight. You can
minus one, please.
-1. Come on, take that to the house.
He is all over it. And look, guys, before we go, we know tonight. One thing we can guarantee from Brian, who's not here with us today, we know he's gonna send us some texts about this game. Be like, I told y'all I should take it. I told y'all you should do it. So we
Bio MVP, it's coming. You know it.
We'll have more on that down the road as we talk about futures and MVP and stuff. So we hope you guys enjoyed the early sample size theater talk. As the games, we have more games. We'll have a lot more to talk about in terms of the league in the season, but we're having a lot of fun doing it. So y'all, for my man Jamal Murphy, Jarod Hector, bet responsibly, bet safely, and if you win, give us all the credit. If you lose, go holler at somebody else. Until next time, guys, peace and love, and Happy New Year to everybody.